Let me ask you something really quick. What if theology didn't start with either systematic answers or cultural questions, but with a story that confronts both? What if the gospel didn't just drop answers from the sky, and it also didn't just mirror the moment, but actually reinterpreted the questions of the age? That's what I call redemptive correlation. That's what we're going to be talking about today in this video. And if this is your first time checking out Theologetics, I'm super honored that you've taken some time out of your day to do so. My name is Jacob. One of the things that we always want to do around here is think deeply, live faithfully, and reclaim wonder as we pursue after God with both our head and our hearts. I don't believe that intellect and emotion should be at odds. I think they should work together. And this is the space where we try to have that happen. When we think about these things, what comes to mind and what I want to base everything around is the singular notion of redemptive correlation. Now, if we want to understand what redemptive correlation looks like scripturally, we need to talk about Acts 17. What's going on in Acts 17? Paul is standing in the intellectual heart of Athens. It's called the Areopagus or Mars Hill. It's kind of just this like big open area, this amphitheater where people just talk. He's surrounded by philosophers, poets, and idol makers. He doesn't start with a Bible verse. He doesn't start with a 3-point sermon. He starts with their world. We see that Paul says when he's talking to these philosophers, poets, and idol makers, I see that you are very religious. I even found an altar with this inscription, to the unknown God. Paul reads the city. He reads and studies the ache. He listens to their language, but then he flips it. He says, what you worship in ignorance, I proclaim to you. He doesn't affirm their theology. He actually redirects their longing. He doesn't water down the truth. He elevates their questions until they ultimately coincide with Christ. That is the notion and the concept of redemptive correlation. It's not about compromising scripture for cultural relevance. It's about letting scripture reinterpret reality, including the questions that people are actually asking. In Athens, Paul doesn't preach to an abstract audience. He preaches to 3 different types of people. First, the disoriented, those who built shrines to gods they couldn't even name. Second, to the skeptical, those who thought that resurrection was foolish. And third, to the spiritually hungry, who felt their way toward truth, but they couldn't actually find it. Now, this sounds familiar, doesn't it? Because that's our culture too. We're surrounded by people asking questions about meaning, identity, justice, love, and purpose. But they've been handed either nihilism or religious performance. And that's where we get to come in. Not just theologetics, but where we as believers, those who hold to the truths of scripture, those who want to make a difference in our world, that's where we come in. Redemptive correlation means we take those real questions seriously, but we don't let them set the terms of engagement. We listen. We do engage, but we speak from the gospel. Like Paul, we name the ache. Like Paul, we expose the idols. And ultimately, like Paul, we preach the risen Christ. Redemptive correlation is how you stay faithful and fluent. It's how you proclaim orthodoxy without arrogance. It's how you avoid both cultural accommodation and doctrinal detachment. And it's what I'm building this space around. The goal isn't just to defend faith. We do need to have an apologetic. We do need to have a reason for the hope that we have, but that's not the whole goal of defending our faith. The whole goal of redemptive correlation, of our apologetics, of our theology is to make Christ unavoidable to a world that's confused, curious, and desperate for something real. So that's one of the things that fuels me and drives me as we think about this world around us. I think that guys like Paul Tillich, Soren Kierkegaard, they wanted to bring the human piece to theology, but they wanted to let humanity interpret scripture. And that's just not what we believe. And that's where the idea of redemptive correlation comes from. Scripture reinterpreting the reality rather than vice versa. If this is something that you also are passionate about, I'd love to have you stick around. Love to have you subscribe to this YouTube channel, subscribe to the Substack that's linked below, and to follow me on TikTok as we kind of hit on different pieces of this redemptive correlating journey. Here on YouTube will be concepts like this, where we break it down into smaller bite-sized pieces. Over on the Substack, we will take things and make it a little bit more clear and explain that in language that gives you some food for thought. Then on TikTok, I try my best to encourage you pastorally and through scripture how to live in this world and to apply this redemptive correlation concept. Once again, I'm super grateful and honored that you took some time, no matter how you found me, to learn more about what it means to correlate redemptively.